What up, football family? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show. I am your host, PL Culture. All right, it's Week 10 ballers and ballettes, and for the first time in a long time, we have no bye weeks. Is that good news? No, it could be good news, could be bad news. What I mean by that is, at least when your team is on bye, you're forced to pick up someone because your player is not available that week. Anything's better than a zero, right? Well, when you have a full squad, a full lineup, and no one is out because of injury or because of a bye week, then you're forced to play the matchup. You got 3 or 4 good players and only 2 slots available. What do? You tune into the Fantasy Football Show. That's what you do. This week, what we're going to do, instead of waiver wire pickups, we're going to profile 5 players, 5 running backs specifically, that are not starters, that had solid fantasy football performances last week. We'll let you know if those performances warrant another start this week or if they were just a one-week wonder. All right? So let's get started. We're going to start down in Miami, Florida, and check out Mr. Reggie Bush, running back of the Miami Dolphins. Now, Bush was drafted in most leagues on draft day, but quickly fell out of favor with most owners because he just wasn't productive. And it didn't help matters that rookie running back Daniel Thomas came in and ate plenty of carries and was productive himself. The offense was struggling under Henney. They hadn't won a game, yada, yada, yada. Well, fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, Henney's out, Matt Moore is in as the quarterback, Daniel Thomas is out, Reggie Bush is in as the running back. Looks like that combination has worked well for their offense. They've been a lot more productive, and so has Bush, to the tune of last week, 50 yards receiving and just under 100 yards rushing. So does that warrant another start for this week? Absolutely. Keep that brother in your lineup. Looks like everything about Reggie Bush is trending on the positive side, upward, for your fantasy football team if you have them. If you don't have them, pick them up off the waiver wire. Somebody is slipping in your league. Now, Bush has a great matchup this week. The Washington Redskins are giving up over 120 yards a game rushing. So get that brother in your lineup, or if you got him in your lineup, good job by you. Keep him in your lineup. All right. Now, we'll go from one Bush on the East Coast and holler at another Bush on the West Coast. This will be Mr. Michael Bush, running back of the Oakland Raiders. Now, pause. We all knew this was going to happen. You knew it, and I knew it. That eventually Darren McFadden was going to come up with a bum something and start missing games. He does it to us every year. He entices us with those magnificent runs, those magnificent games at the start of the season, only to flame out with some bad wills. Okay, my emotions are letting everyone know that Bush is on one of my fantasy teams, but I digress. Back to Bush. Now, Bush filled in for said injured McFadden last week and turned in a solid performance, 129 total yards and a touchdown. Now, the impressive thing of that was that he was very active in the passing game and actually got his touchdown on the reception. That's fantastic for folks that's in a points per reception league for the running backs. That's definitely some quality production. So does that production lead to another start this week for Mr. Bush? It absolutely does. Keep that brother in your lineup. If you were a McFadden owner and was smart enough to get Bush when McFadden went down, then you want to give him another play. McFadden will definitely be out tomorrow night against the Chargers, and the Chargers are giving up 120 yards a game rushing themselves. So it's definitely a match suited for Bush. He's strong, he's physical, he knows the offense. The Raiders are run first team, and it looks like he built some good chemistry and some good rapport with Carson Palmer out of the backfield. So long story short, keep that brother in your lineup. On a sidebar, make sure that you set your lineup tonight if you plan on playing Bush or any of the other Raiders, because we have Thursday night football jumping off tomorrow night, and I'd hate for someone to miss the boat and miss out on that production. All right? Now, we're going to move on, and we're going to talk to Mr. Ben Tate, and he's the backup running back for the Houston Texans. Now, Tate turned in a quality performance last week, over 100 yards rushing. And what's fascinating about the whole Tate scenario is that, yes, he's backing up all-world running back Arian Foster, but check it. Foster's not hurt. Not only is Foster not hurt, he's not even losing touches. I mean, he's getting starters touches, and Tate is still getting it done. That's showing you just how much of a beast the Houston running game has been the last several weeks, and they all have one person to thank for that. Andre Johnson. But I digress. We're not going to get into that right now. What does that mean as far as his 100-yard performance for Tate last week? Should that warrant him another start this week? Absolutely right. That warrants him another start this week. It looks like that Coach Kubiak and Matt Schaub are content to turn around and hand the ball off to both of their studs. I mean, if you look at it, if they're both ripping off 4 or 5 yards a clip, both are putting up 100-yard stats, there's got to be dominating the time of possession. That's keeping your quarterback from being from being hurt. It's keeping your defense fresh, and it's basically just taking the will of the opposing defense. So it's a recipe for success. And oh, by the way, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 25th against the run. Keep that man in your lineup, please. All right. Now, we're going to stay on the West Coast here, and we're going to holler at Mr. Marshawn Lynch. And he's the, of course, Houston's not on the West Coast, but Oakland was. But moving on along, we're going to holler at Mr. Marshawn Lynch, running back for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, last week, Lynch had his best game of 2011. He ripped off 135 tough, hard grown man yards against the Dallas Cowboys. For those who saw that game, those were grown man yards. I mean, he was really putting his head down and running that ball. So does that warrant him another start this week? Absolutely not. Don't do it. This brother should not be in your lineup this week. He has 1 week wonder written all over him. Why is that? Well, the matchups. Looks like this week he pays a visit to Mr. Ray Lewis and the third-ranked rushing defense in the league. Now, Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens have knocked off a who's who of quality fantasy backs and have basically dwindled their numbers down to basically nothing. So as much as I would like to give Lynch his props this week, 1 week wonder, put him on your bench. Don't cut him. Just put him on your bench, all right? When better matchups come along, he will be a quality play, just not this week. All right, next, we move on to Mr. Brandon Jacobs, running back of the New York Giants. Now, his homeboy, his ace boom coom, all that good stuff, Ahmar Bradshaw, broke his foot a couple of weeks ago and missed last week's game against the New England Patriots. Now, Jacobs, he filled in and did a great job. He had 100 total yards and a touchdown. 70 or so of those yards were on the ground. So, hey, does that warrant him another start? Looks like Bradshaw will be out again this week. Don't you do it. Don't you start him. Don't do it. He is a 1 week wonder. And the reason being, it's the matchups, man. It's the matchups. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go on record and say that Brandon Jacobs has the worst matchup of the entire weekend. He's taking on the San Francisco 49ers and their top-ranked rush defense. And when I say top-ranked rush defense, I'm just not talking about they're just statistically number one against the run. It's week 10 and they haven't given up a rushing touchdown all year long. All year. Don't put that man in your lineup. Don't get emotional. Don't do it. Sit that brother on your bench. If Bradshaw comes back this week, get him off your team altogether. If Bradshaw's going to be out a little while longer, you may want to keep him and play the matchups, but looks like the Giants' schedule is brutal coming up, so he may have just been a one-hit wonder, 1 week wonder, all that good stuff. If you were fortunate enough to get him in your lineup, hey, do your GM thing, but this week, not going to happen. Now, we move on to our Homer Alert pick for this week. So all of you fans in Boston, all of you Wes Welker owners, all of you all that play him week in and week out, including myself, regardless of the matchup, be on Homer Alert this week. It looks like that matchups. And Welker didn't have a great one this week. He takes on the New York Jets and their fifth-ranked pass defense. But more importantly, he gets to pack his bags and take a flight to Revis Island. Now, the first game, he did get 5 catches for 124 yards against the Jets, but the vast majority of that came on a long fluke pass against Antonio Cromartie. Now, if you want to fast forward to today, Rex Ryan has the benefit of watching the Pittsburgh Steelers tape on how they played the New England Patriots wide receivers, and it was very effective. right in their face, smash mouth, bump and run, and no one is suited to do that better than Mr. Darrelle Revis. So I just have a sneaky gut feeling that Revis will be shadowing Walker all over the field. This is a must-win game for the Jets. They cannot afford to lose this divisional game, a big-time game on Sunday night, and I'm looking for Walker to come up small, literally and figuratively. All right. So that does it for week 10 of the Fantasy Football Show. If you have any starter sit advice, if you have any 1 week wonders that you'd like to start or exploit, hey, drop us a line on the comment section. Share your love with the Fantasy Football family. You can also hit me up on Twitter. That's at PL Culture. Again, that's at PLCOLTER. It's your boy PL. I'm out. God bless and good luck.